how to best realize our destiny. And again, just as a reminder, destiny ultimately is to, um, reach that end goal of, you know, being at your highest awareness or gaining the highest level of consciousness in the spiritual sense. And to get there, we'll be going through different types of situations in our lives. Um, because, a lot of times when we are in like autopilot mode or just flowing through life, we may not really realize things till we're sort of shaken out of it. I mean, I can tell you in my case, up until like age of 16, 17, I had a fairly like, I mean, I grew up in like a little bit of a bubble. Like I was the younger child, so my parents always just sort of, took care of me. So I didn't really think through a lot. I mean, I used to always think about like religion and all that, but I didn't have any personal experiences in life which sort of shook me out of my comfort zone, right? Till I went to college and, I had sort of decided I'm going to be an engineer. And again, I have no idea why I made that choice. It was just something that, it just was the logical thing to do when I was growing up. Well, if you're good in math, you'll be an engineer. If you're good in science, you go into something in the medical field. But I hadn't really gave it much thought in terms of who am I or what am I. So I get into this really good engineering school, and day one, I realized this is completely not what I want to do. And I sort of had to, go through some really tough times to think about who am I, what am I, and make some other choices. And the interesting thing is, things just sort of, once I realized that this may be not what I want to do, and I went through this really downward phase, I was still like, keeping my eyes open to what else I could do. And, the universe or God just, dropped like certain things into my life. So I just took that as signs as maybe, maybe I should look into other options. And that's how, again, it's some of these things are so random, right? Like my mom's friend's daughter was in the same college. So I just happened to call her and say hi and, talk to her about my situation with engineering. And she said, well, why don't you try out finance? And I was like, finance? Like, what is that? I mean, I had a sense of it, but I didn't know what careers could come out of it or anything. Um, and then I, just took one class in finance. I just actually audited the first day. And I just knew then that, okay, this may be an option. Again, even back then, I knew this is not like my ultimate, like, career, but it was definitely better than engineering. And a lot of the things just sort of worked out for me. Like, typically, it's very hard to transfer from engineering to the College of Business, but that the doors for that opened up. Um, and then even like within finance, things opened up where I could double major in like accounting and finance. So so the point with all that is just thinking about, sometimes things may happen to shake you out of your comfort zone just to make you think through things and realize for yourself who you are. And with that one experience, you may not come to that complete answer. There may be multiple things in life that you have to go through to sort of get closer to your path of fulfilling destiny. Like when I think back, I feel if I had just gone through engineering and everything just worked out well, again, I would have been in this autopilot mode where I may have flown through life, but I may not have reached that next level in terms of getting close to alignment with my true purpose and who I really am. So, so, so that's something to think about, right? Like, so destiny is ultimately, in the spiritual sense, getting close to, who you truly are, getting aligned with your consciousness, getting aligned with the universe, and just remembering that a lot of challenges could happen in your course of life before you get to that stage. So how do you best realize your destiny? One thing is you just come to terms with the present and clear our past experiences. For most of us, I mean, including myself, I mean, we've been through some level of challenges, but we have to think about all that as just what did we learn from, and really try to be in the now and not let those things define us. The other thing also is thinking, again, following our inner sense, right, for guidance. A lot of times we're so programmed to do the logical thing. Again, in my example, right, like the logical thing to do was this career path, but I never focused on, how does it feel for me? Like, what is my gut telling me? And it's very hard. It's very challenging because we just are so surrounded by information, and also like people. I think culturally too, certain groups of people are just usually more pragmatic and practical, and we sort of just tend to go with what we're being told, whether it's our parents or families. It's always about, well, that doesn't make practical sense, and then you follow the practical thing to do even though it may not necessarily feel right for you. So it's very important to sort of take all that information out and really focus within. um and that's something that I've been struggling with, like even in my personal life. I am always like bombarded with, well, the practical thing to do is, you meet XYZ and you get married. And to me, it's just like, well, I don't know, like that whole logic to get married or meet someone to get married, or to get married just because you have someone in your old age, to me, it just doesn't sit right. It's a little more beyond that. So, and that's been a struggle too for myself, right? It's so I have to think about, well, what do I want and what is my heart telling me to do? And a lot of times you make those decisions based on fear, especially when you hear so much of that, like, oh, yeah, maybe, if 10 people are saying it, it could be right. And a lot of our, so we go with that flow of, well, if they're all saying it, it must be right. It must be the right thing to do, even though it may not feel right for us. So it's very important to sort of, you know, get away from all that and to surrender ourselves to our inner feelings and not get caught up in the external info. Develop self understanding, it's part of it. I believe the more time you spend with yourselves, and we've talked about meditation in the past, right? Getting meditation, the main piece of it is getting to know ourselves and getting aligned with source and getting to the root of everything. And that's very important as well. And very important in terms of a tool to best realize our destiny. um, Feeling joyful, energetic, lightness of being. So these are like typically like physical things that we may, or like a sign that you can look for to know, okay, maybe this is more what it's meant to be versus am I forcing myself? Again, with the engineering situation, I could have maybe, if I really tried hard, I could have still gone through engineering, maybe graduated. But it, after a certain point, it really was a struggle. So that's when you have to think for yourself, is this what, am I doing this for myself, or again, am I just fulfilling like someone else's dreams? But when you are in your path to realizing your destiny, typically it may not be as much of a struggle. Like you'll still face challenges, that's always there. Not always, but you may face some challenges, but okay, this is something I can overcome. It's not that big of a deal. Mental diet, um then this goes back to what we're taught and what we grow up with, right? Like limiting beliefs. Again, we may have some type of notions that are that we grow up with, or conditioning that we grow up with. like, about many aspects in our life, whether it's career, relationships, um, finances. I mean, I grew up hearing two kinds of thoughts when it comes to finances, like, oh, I will never make money. It's just not in my fate. And then I've heard another group saying, well, I can make as much money as I want if I put if I work hard towards it. Um, so you have to think about, what you've heard and which of that is limiting you or holding you back, and really like throw out what is not working for you and create like new feelings or new beliefs for yourself. Awareness of information you're consuming, again, it goes into like, we've talked about information a few weeks ago because I had that presentation. We have so much information that we're bombarded with, like through our movies and media. Again, that subconsciously has an effect on how we're thinking. Like, for example, we grew up with these notions about relationships, watching certain types of movies, thinking, well, all, men cheat or women are liars. And when we start having those subconscious thoughts, a lot of times we attract those very same things into our lives. And then we say, oh, well, that was our fate or our destiny. But in order to best realize our destiny, we need to be mindful about what we're consuming. And even if we consume it, like, just leaving it, just like the diet part, like not taking it all in, just knowing it's one person's story or it's just something you saw in the movies, and to just drop it. And if it doesn't feel good for you, don't keep thinking about it or having feelings about it. The next piece is about comfort zone or change. um, Taking a leap of faith, right? um, this again, with my career situation, I mean, I had no idea what finance was all about, or what, I mean, I had heard, okay, someone said even then, oh, you could do accounting, but doing CPA is extremely hard. And that sort of, set me back a little bit, where I thought, okay, maybe it's not going to work. It's going to be another story like engineering. But then I said, okay, well, let me just see what's going to happen. And I took the leap of faith, and I just, decided to make the switch. And yeah, and again, it was not like a straight sailing. There were challenges even with all that, but for the most part, it worked out. So I had to take the leap of faith and go with the flow. And then signs from the universe, again, sometimes things just, there are these signs of synchronicity which you have to be on the lookout for, and that's, the universe telling you that you're on the right path. um and a lot of times you may make decisions that may not have the best outcome, but when we look back at it later, you may realize that, okay, that made sense, or it actually worked out for us. So also having that innate sense of knowing that the universe is always on your side, and ultimately, even through the challenges, it's really pushing you towards fulfilling your destiny.